getting your CV ready. Now, you probably already have a CV, right? You probably have needed that for various different applications, or at some point you've had to write a CV for school or something. So one would imagine you've got something. Formats. Okay, so CV format, I prefer Word. I like a nice wide one column perspective. I don't like any diagrams or design. And that's because I want as much space as possible for you to show off your experience. Not education, your experience. So I have a particular layout that's I've added that. I've added that as a download here that I favor, which is just straightforward. Experience very cleanly and clearly explained in reverse chronological format. But look, when it comes to preparing your CV, get it ready now. Okay, get that template moving. Get that CV ready, because very soon you're going to want to have to be applying. If you haven't already, you're going to want to be applying for roles, internships, and so on and so on. Ideally, and especially if you're following anything that I'm saying across the next couple of chapters, you're going to want your CV ready in your back pocket, so that when someone says, "Oh, send me your CV," you can then go, "Here we are." Right now, so get your CV ready. Open up Word, get it updated, get it complete, and begin to iterate. The big challenge with CVs is typically, especially when it comes to students, I have seen this so often. Someone suddenly says, "Can I see your CV?" The student goes, "Yes." Now they've got one, but it's not up to date. And they've got one, but it's not in the style they want it. And they've committed to, they have to send it tomorrow or within 2 or 3 days. And it's at that point you're under some stress and you're under duress going, trying to find some bullet points, and it's okay, and you send it off. We want the CV, we want you and the CV to look brilliant, absolutely brilliant. In my TikTok lives, I'm constantly, because I do CV reviews, right, on TikTok Live, I'm constantly getting CVs submitted. They've been rushed, and the individual is essentially breathless on the TikTok Live saying, please review it, because I've got to send it off now. And, they wrote it that morning. It's okay. That's okay. You can do a passable job, but one of the most effective things to do is sit down there, a lot of caffeine, bang out the CV, right? Bang out your experience, bang out the various different companies and so on, right? And then iterate. This is the difficult bit. It's going, okay, now how can that be better? Did I actually do that? What else can I do? It's very difficult thinking of those bullet points for each experience. One would hope you have got some experience already. If not, there's some sections coming on that, or I've got some chapters coming on that. But make sure that those bullet points are actionable. So when you're saying, look, I supervised a team. All right, how many? Don't just say a team. Say, I supervised a team of 5. Great. Okay, now we can see some leadership capability. What was the outcome of that? Right? Why? Why did you supervise a team? What were your responsibilities? And then what were the outcomes? What's the so what? So for every bullet point, you're saying, you're making sure you've got a little Ewan on your shoulder when you're writing that bullet point saying, so what? Right? You read it to yourself. So why? Who cares? What does it mean? And this is a really important aspect. If you've done an internship, if you've done some work experience somewhere, don't just say I contributed to some projects, because I'm reading that going, all right, this is good, but what projects? How many? Right? What did they do? What did they result in? So again, with every bullet point, think about the so what, but think about the why. Right? Think about adding a resulting in almost in your mind, right? Or even physically, right? The text that says, I supervised 4 projects, including the thing, the so-and-so, which resulted in, right? Resulting in what? A 10% increase in sales over 3 months because we changed the blah, blah, blah around. Or we did this thing which created that. I presented to these clients. Okay, which clients? We see this a lot where someone says, I presented to senior management. Who? Right? Or I made some presentations. Right. For whom? Yeah. Who did you make the presentations for? Right. So, because it looks better, right? If you say, "Well, I made the presentation for the CFO team, or the CEO's office." Okay. Yeah. These kind of things. Now, if you're wondering how to prepare your CV, if you're looking for some inspiration, I've got two suggestions. One, go and look at some companies, some target companies, dream companies. Where would you like to work? Okay, so Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, whatever, right? Okay, go and look at those now and look at their graduate recruitment pages and look for any jobs or graduate recruitment detail that shows their requirements. Go and look now, okay? It's a very, very good way of beginning to get your mind ready for what you're going to have to do later on. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is looking and saying, okay, it says here, ideally you have some experience. Great. What experience have you got? If your CV is looking bare, okay, now's your time. This course is ideally for students who are still doing their studies. Okay, so theoretically, you have a number of months or years before you're coming out of university and then coming into the graduate or the next step of your career or beginning your career. Now, do this. Go and look at some target companies. So, for example, JP Morgan or UBS or whatever company, right? Go and look at the graduate section and look at the requirements. Go and find some graduate roles, some graduate jobs or some entry-level jobs or junior positions at these companies, at these target companies. So just make some target companies up. Any company you've heard of, IBM, Accenture, Deloitte, right? Just find some roles that you think, ideally, in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, whatever month's time, that you'd be applying for. All right, go and look at them. So look at the graduate sections, but also look for jobs, job specifications, right? A job listing, and look and see what they're requesting. Look and see what they're saying. Often, I'm interacting with students in TikTok Live, for example, who it's a complete surprise. They just haven't looked. They didn't look. They didn't care. It didn't matter. Okay, it didn't matter in year one. It didn't matter in year two. It didn't matter in year three. Now they've finished year three. They've got their degree. It says, right. But it says you need experience, for example. Right? Yeah. Well, I didn't know. Right. So let's prepare. Okay. So go and look now. You'll get an example. Okay. Have a look at some junior positions, some entry-level positions, just to give you an example of what these companies are looking for. So make some stuff up. Go and look at IBM. Go and look at Cisco. Go and look at NVIDIA or any tech company or big organization that you'd like to work with, even just from a dream perspective, right? Just to get some context. Look at both the graduate section for the graduate programs. What are they expecting? Okay. And then have a look at their standard career section and look for some more junior or kind of entry-level roles that if you weren't going the graduate way, you could probably be considering. It's a very, very good methodology, this, because it will begin to show you what they're expecting you to have. Why do we want this? Because we're looking for gaps. We're looking for gaps in your CV. So you've got your CV, right? And by all means, use my basic template, okay? But you've got your CV. Where are the gaps? What are the gaps? Now, experience is 9 times out of 10, there's usually gaps in experience, okay? But go and look and see what else are they saying? Language would be preferable. Programming is not essential, but would be preferable. Or awareness of AI would be preferable. Or any of these kind of things, right? This is, anything that you can observe now, so you can then go, oh, that's a gap. Okay, let's close that gap. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to getting your CV ready. What gaps can you see at the moment? It may well be often it's experience. There may be some gaps in the context of additional interests and so on. Some organizations do like to see lots of exciting interests as well as experience and. So make sure you go and develop some exciting interests if you haven't got any at the moment. If you're thinking about graduate roles, it's often very helpful when you're being evaluated. Remember the interests are quite useful, and interesting interests are quite useful because it's a way of showing differential. It's a way of differentiating yourself. So when you're thinking about your CV, also thinking about applying for graduate roles, okay? Let's assume there's 200 people in your course, right? Or 100 people. Let's go for 200, it's a bigger number, right? 200 people coming out of your university in 2020, whatever, okay? All of them will have a degree from your university, okay? So now, what happens if all of them go and apply for Accenture, the same role you're applying for? Well, that's 200 candidates. They all look exactly the same. Now, how do we tell the difference? How do we tell the difference? Well, by all means, look at university type and so on and so on. And look, these are different topics here. But let's just look at the profile of the individual. Experience, that's a differentiator, right? Experience. What experience have you got? Okay. And then the other one, interests. Well, the stuff do you do, right? Oh, this guy does karate. Oh, this guy's really interested in film. Oh, anything like that, right? They're looking for individuals who are not just workaholics and robotic, okay? So although I'm talking about interests here, I prioritize interests as priority 9, whereas experience priority 1, right? Priority 1. So make sure you've got as much experience as you possibly can have on your CV, and then make sure that the experience is formatted as best as possible. So really good bullet points. Iterate them until you're absolutely satisfied. And this is something I know, I suppose it's like cramming for an exam, right? You know, when you're sitting there going, I really should have taken some more time. It's the same with CV, right? Start it when you don't need it. Okay. Now, if you need any help, have a look. I do have a very comprehensive CV course that goes through all of that. Please have a look.